Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president of the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association, head track and field coach at LSU, Dennis Shaver.
Having come to the convention for many years, obviously this is one of the most exciting nights for our Coaches Association, where we have the opportunity to recognize some former greats, some current greats that have done so much for our sport over the years. So it's glad to see everyone here. I hope everybody's having a great night. I'm happy to mention we have several Hall of Fame members with us in attendance tonight, and I'd like to recognize them quickly. If you would, please stand. Stay standing, if you would, when I call your name. These are former Hall of Famers that are with us tonight. We're so grateful that they're able to join us this evening. So I'm going to start here. Al Curious. If you'd stand, Al. John Chaplin. Terry Crawford. Pete Farewell. Curtis Fry. Clyde Hart, Jack Hazen, Lance Harder, Pat Henry, Mike Holloway, Cyrus Jones, Vin Lanana, Patrick Shane, Bubba Thornton, Dr. Joe Vigil, earlier tonight recognized George Williams, and the one and only Gary Wilson. Let's give a big round of applause for all of our We're really blessed to have you all here with us tonight. We're so thankful that you're joining us. You know, started in 1995, the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association Hall of Fame exists to recognize coaches who have brought great distinction to themselves, to their institutions, and to the sports of cross country and track and field. The USTFCCCA Hall of Fame is committed to preserving the legacies and celebrating the storied careers of those who have made significant contributions to these sports. Since its inception, 186 coaches representing 147 different institutions spanning collegiate and high school levels have been inducted into the USTFCCCA Hall of Fame. Each of these honorees exemplifies the qualities of dedication to the sport, leadership, and passion for their profession that serve as an inspiration to coaches everywhere in every sport. Let's take a long look back to begin with at the career of our first inductee, Dr. Artis Davenport.
Dr. Artis Davenport II pioneered a successful athletics department from the ground up, literally from nothing to something. Davenport received degrees at both Tuskegee and LSU. Drafted while at Tuskegee, he served as a U.S. Army infantry officer during World War II. And after duty in the Korean War, he returned to earn a master's in physical education, kicking off his coaching career. After a pair of successful stints at Alcorn State and Dillard University, where he won multiple conference championships in track and field, Davenport placed his coaching career on hold, becoming an assistant professor of physical education at New Orleans Southern University. At the time, the school had only intramurals on campus, but being a visionary, Davenport spearheaded a movement to build an athletics department right from square one. And after 12 arduous years of unwavering diligence, Suno Athletics was born. Nights, just not overnight. Under Davenport's direction, the track and field program immediately left its mark on the NCAA's Division III. A runner-up finish outdoor in its inaugural year of competition in 1974 was followed by the first three-peat in D3 history. The Black Knights reeling off championships in 75, 76, and 77. The 75 crown was particularly special with 5 individual national titles, a feat no program would match until 2003. And the 32-point margin of victory was the largest in 3 decades. Starting fast and running fast, Davenport's athletes won 19 D3 sprinting titles in an 8-year span, including 5 in the 4x400 relay. The Black Knights hopped on the D3 outdoor podium 3 more times before a move to the NAIA in 1987. The program won 4 additional team titles in the new division, as its women swept the 95 and 97 indoor and outdoor crowns. Davenport stepped down from his position at Suno in 1999, spending his first days in quasi-retirement as a part-time assistant at Bethune-Cookman. And in addition to his track and field contributions, he guided Bethune-Cookman's women's bowling team to a 4th place NCAA trophy in 2005. He is Dr. Artis Davenport II, 2018 Coaches Hall of Fame.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jasmine Davenport. This is my sister, Lori Davenport, and we're going to speak on our father's behalf and just share some personal remarks that he has about this evening. Being here tonight is such an honor and a culmination to a lifetime spent coaching. Coaching more than 50 years has taken me on many journeys, some better than others, but all ultimately success in unique ways. My secret to success was I did the right things at the right time and prepared athletes with a good basis for performing the things they needed to do, which was being strong enough, concentrating enough, and doing it in the least amount of energy in the performance of it, having athletes that could perform what I requested. They had to have enough strength and desire to do something in order to bring out the best of them. I knew if they took a negative attitude, they would have never accomplished what they did. And if I took a negative attitude, I would have never gotten it out of them. I had to make sure they never had a chance to not believe they could do it, and be sure to put enough stress on them.
As a coach, if I think I can do something, if I think I cannot do something, it would be hard to do. If your athletes think that they can't do it, you have to make them believe they can. If I think I can and keep trying, most likely we will be successful. Coaching has been a blessing because it was the perfect use of my skills and talent. Hopefully it has been just as positive and fruitful for the young men and women's lives that I have touched. So I'm sure all my other fellow honorees are greatly appreciative of being here tonight as much as I am. Thank you for Coach Reed from Suno to continuing the winning tradition that I got started long ago. Thank you all for acknowledging me and all the wonderful young men and women that I have had the pleasure to coach over the years. Thank my family for their love and respect, my friends for their support, and I just want to say good evening, and once again, thank you.
Few coaches prepared their athletes for success across every level of competition as much as Dan Pfaff, and he's done it for 4 decades. In 30 years as a collegiate coach, Pfaff's athletes combined for 29 NCAA individual titles, more than 150 All-America honors, and a slew of collegiate records. Those same athletes also helped their teams earn NCAA glory, as Pfaff assisted on 21 national champions. After graduating from Wright State, Pfaff began his coaching career in 1976 at Carlisle Senior High School in Ohio. He then joined the staff at the University of Houston as a grad assistant, where he would get a master's degree in sports science. And after a stint as a Wichita State assistant, he spent time as the women's head coach at UTEP. Pfaff soon moved to Baton Rouge, where his career took off. As field events coach at LSU from 1985 to 1995, Pfaff helped the Tigers win 17 NCAA team titles. Pfaff then spent 8 years as an assistant at the University of Texas, Hookham. From 1995 to 2003, Pfaff helped turn the Longhorns into a perennial power. Texas swept the NCAA women's indoor and outdoor team titles in 1998 and 99 and finished on the podium 7 other times. Shortly thereafter, he turned his attention to coaching professional athletes who have been sublime at the international level. He guided 33 athletes to the Olympic Games, where they have won a total of 10 medals, including 1996 100-meter gold medalist and former world record holder Donovan Bailey of Canada, and 2012 long jump gold medalist Greg Rutherford of Great Britain. Bailey is one of 5 Pfaff-coached athletes who have set world records. In addition to coaching 10 Olympics and 15 World Championships, Pfaff has lectured in 37 countries and his written works published in more than 20. He also serves as curriculum chair for the U.S. Track and Field Coaches Education Schools and the NACAC Caribbean Basin Project, where he is the lead instructor for both organizations. All of those accomplishments and all of that expertise has led him here tonight. Dan Pfaff, Coaches Hall of Fame, Class of 2018.
Thanks. Wow. Humbled, honored, blessed. When I look on the walls here and like, wow, in that league. I was hopeful I'd have the shortest speech ever, but Doc kind of beat me to it tonight. When you're a young coach, you tell athletes what to do. When you're an old coach, your athletes tell you what to do. And most of my athletes wanted R-rated lectures and talks, salacious stories on every stop, but Sam said I couldn't, and he gave me 5 minutes. So this is a speed dating version of what I probably hope to present. I've truly been blessed and fortunate in a lot of realms, and coaches can't do it alone. No coach is an island, and I wouldn't have done this without my wife, Barbara, of 43 years. Is with us tonight. "18 moves, 43 years. She's pretty good at buying and selling houses and packing to move, so if you need advice, she's available after or at a very low fee. My daughter Taylor and son Seth are with us tonight, who had to share their dad with a lot of people, thousands of people over a long period of time. My sister, 2 nieces, and I'm happy to say one of the first athletes I ever sent to a state track meet from Dayton, Ohio, Bob Alexander. So thanks for your support. It's easy to reflect on athletes you had that were Olympians or World Championship qualifiers or NCAA champions or All-Americans or conference champions, but the athletes I reflect on the most are the walk-on guys and gals, the book scholarship people who fought for 4 or 5 years and scored maybe a point at the conference meet to help a team win the title. And those are the moments that I cherish. I was blessed to grow up in the Midwest in Dayton, Ohio, in a golden era for sport.
where sport mattered, physical education was taught, people were held accountable. I had tremendous coaches and athletic directors, and every stop along the way I've been just super fortunate. Great ADs, SIDs, athletic trainers, secretaries, which I think you guys call ops directors now, GAs, student assistants, volunteer assistants. When I started, the compliance book was about 5 pages in a spiral, and now it's that thick. That's probably why I'm out of the business. I've had good administrators and great head coaches, many who are on the wall, and this is for all the assistant coaches that don't get recognized or paid, because most of my life was in that shelf. I want to close highlighting 3 guys. I wouldn't be standing here without them. Dr. Joe Vigil, who's my dad, who was honored tonight. Tom Tellez, who's my lifetime mentor at the University of Houston. And Victor Lopez, my brother from the University of Rice. Thank you.
Breaking glass ceilings with laser-like focus on excellence, Karen Dennis blazed a trail for scores of women in the coaching profession. And throughout her 4-decade career, winning has been a common theme. Dennis, a national champion sprinter for her alma mater, Michigan State, was given a chance to coach by Hall of Famer Dr. Nell Jackson. After just 4 years, Dennis took over as head coach of the Spartans women's team in 1981. And over the next 11 years, Dennis led Sparty to the 1982 Big Ten outdoor title and mentored a number of Olympians, including 1984 LA silver medalist over the 400-meter hurdles, Judy Brown. In 1992, Dennis became the head women's coach at UNLV, and she made an immediate impact as the 1993 Rebels captured the inaugural MPSF indoor title. Under Dennis's direction, 12 women earned 27 All-American honors, while 2, Ayanna Hutchinson and Alicia Tyson, competed at the 2000 and 2004 Summer Olympic Games. After a decade in the desert, Dennis returned to the Big Ten at The Ohio State University. Dennis served as an assistant coach for 4 years before a promotion to head women's coach in 2006. And the Buckeye women excelled, earning 31 Big Ten individual titles and 19 first-team All-America honors. In 2014, Ohio State combined its men's and women's teams, with Dennis named as the program's director. In the 4 years since, Dennis guided the Buckeyes to 37 individual Big Ten titles, 31 first-team All-America honors, and another NCAA individual event title. 2018 has been the sweetest year yet for Dennis, as she became the first woman to lead a men's program to a conference title in Big Ten history. Better yet, the Bucks swept both the indoor and outdoor crowns. Dennis is a 7-time Regional Coach of the Year, and in 2000 was selected and served as head coach of the U.S. women's team for the Sydney Olympics. Shattering a ceiling to setting a standard, leading the way, and winning. She is Karen Dennis, 2018 Coaches Hall of Fame.
After that dance, people told me I need to learn some new moves. I still haven't learned them. Good evening, friends. I had to bring my notes because I'm not as good as the other 2 gentlemen. I want to congratulate my fellow honorees in the class of 2018, and I've admired your work for many years. I got to acknowledge my family, my friends that are sitting here. My sister's here with me. My sister girlfriend is here. My former athlete is here. My brilliant daughter is here. with her sister friend. All my coaches who support me and love me despite me, and I appreciate that. There have been coaches throughout my career that have really helped me get to this stage and have really worked on behalf of hundreds of student athletes, and I couldn't have done anything without their help. I want to appreciate my boss for being here. He's just been a great supporter of my program, and now I want to talk about how I feel about being here. When I learned I was being inducted into the cross-country USTFCCCA Hall of Fame, I received a lot of calls from people from all over the country. My sister friend, Carol Smith Gilbert, called, and she said, "Congratulations." And then she said something that I really had to think about. She said, "I have to get a new dress." And I had to think about that too. I guess I have to get a new dress. This summer, my daughter and I took a trip to Africa. It was the first time we had stepped foot on that continent. While there, we took an excursion out onto the Atlantic Ocean in hopes of seeing some whales. The further out we got from land, the ocean changed colors from real pretty blue to an ink black. The heightening of the swells of the waves drenched us with salt water, and there was no land in sight. I thought about my ancestors who had crossed the Atlantic in slave ships at the bottom of ships in chains, headed to the Caribbean and the United States. I thought of their peril, their fear of the unknown, the remarkable abuse and degradation they endured, and their resilience to have lived through this torturous journey. It made me very emotional and also very grateful for the freedom, prosperity, and liberties afforded me and people that look like me. This ceremony is also very emotional for me, while giving me the opportunity to pay homage to my ancestors, my mentors, and the many others that have provided me safe passage to this stage tonight. 30 years ago, I began my coaching career with the intention of assisting Dr. Nell Jackson for 2 years while working on my master's. Dr. Jackson was the head women's coach and women's athletic director at Michigan State. After the completion of my program, I figured I would move on to administration. That never happened. It never happened because history was shaping a new era for girls and women in sports. Title IX became the law of the land, and women were granted more opportunity and visibility in athletics by becoming members of the NCAA. The juxtaposition of women from the AIAW to the NCAA found Dr. Jackson, who had once been among 90% of women administrators and coaches of women's sports programs, with the painful decision of becoming a subordinate administrator at MSU or vacating her position to assume a leadership role at another institution. She left, and the AD asked me to be the women's track and field coach. I agreed only because my grassroots coach and the head men's track and field coach at Michigan State, Mr. Jim Bibbs, urged me to do so. I never thought of being a coach. What I thought I could do in this new role was to be a conduit between a young girl and her dreams. Through scholarship and opportunity, girls could earn a degree of their choice while at the same time participate in a sport we all love. Obviously, no. I'd coach for a couple of years, and then I'd go into administration. Still didn't happen. As a coach, it's important to win, and good coaches attract great talent. As a young recruiter, I was losing kids to schools that weren't as prestigious as Michigan State and to programs that I knew weren't as invested in the well-being of student athletes as I was. A Brooklyn girl named Odessa Smalls enlightened me after spending 2 years of recruitment only to be told she wasn't coming to my school. Why, Odessa, why? She said simply, I've never been coached by a woman. All of my coaches have been men. I couldn't believe that my gender was her determining factor. That was the moment I understood the importance of having girls having coaches that look like them. By the way, Odessa did come to Michigan State University, where she won 13 Big Ten championships and numerous All-Americans. I want to publicly thank the men that played a pivotal role in my development. Coach Bibbs was my champion, my confidant, my therapist. I called him a few months ago to tell him I owed him a lot of money because at the time we didn't have therapists. Therapy back in those days was your mother telling you, you better rally and get yourself together. So thank you, Coach Bibbs, for always being there to pick up my pieces. Coach Ed Temple, who taught me the importance of always being a lady on the track, but a beast, being a lady off the track, but a beast on the track. He taught me the meaning of second chances. Coach Sam Bell, the legendary coach at Indiana, took me under his political wing and made me become a regional rep to understand the only way to change a system is to be a part of the political community. Mr. Steve Simmons demonstrated the power of relationships, friendship, and timing. In 2002, after a very successful year, I was told by my AD that my contract was not going to be renewed. I walked out of the office after having told him, thank you, and wondered, what are you thanking him for? Your ass just got fired. By the time I got home, Steve Simmons had called me, and he asked what happened, and I told him. He said, I'm going to make a few calls, and then I'll get back to you. In less than a week, Russ Rogers called. His longtime assistant had vacated her position for another job, and he invited me to come on and join him. Through the power of networking, Steve and Russ changed the trajectory of my professional career, and I will always thank them and be indebted to them for that. Mr. Gene Smith and TJ Shelton, my athletic directors, and immediate supervisor, for trusting me with the rare opportunity to direct a Power 5 track and field program and allowing me to continue to grow. Research reveals participation numbers of women athletes growing exponentially, while numbers of women coaching women has gone from 90% when I was a student athlete and a young coach to less than 50% over the past several decades throughout the spectrum of all women's sports. This precipitous decline narrative has entered a new phase and phraseology called stagnant. Women are no longer making gains in leadership positions as coaches. For track and field, the D1 percentage of women head coaches coaching women is 19.4%. The percent of women coaching men is 9.8%. And the percentage of women, according to studies by gender equity experts and researchers, is less than 3% coaching a dual program. The greatest percentage of women coaches is highest at the entry level, grad assistants and volunteer coaches. Then there's a drop-off. I mention this to bring attention and emphasis to this gross gender inequity. The question I now ponder is, who will be the voice of women for the next generation? How can we mitigate the stagnation of women in leadership positions in sport? Some of the reasons I've heard for not hiring women include they may have kids. That's what we're built for. We are built to give life, to nourish life, and to protect life. Women aren't applying for jobs. We need to make a greater effort to identify and support women with potential to be coaches. Then through professional development, coach them up. That means allow for mistakes and recognize mistakes as opportunities to learn. Contact veteran and accomplished coaches like my sisters, Bev Kearney, Carol, Connie, Beth, and many others out here, and ask them who's in the pipeline for consideration. Connect women to other women in leadership positions for networking opportunities. Also, show women on your staff appreciation for their extreme abilities to juggle their kids, manage student athletes, work tirelessly on behalf of our programs while maintaining the integrity of their families. Expressions of gratitude may keep more women in the game. Nelson Mandela said, "Don't be afraid to grow and to let others grow with you." In closing, I want to share an analogy my daughter made to her psychology colleagues when discussing gender roles. She said, "Men don't own masculinity and women don't own femininity. My mother is the prettiest woman in the room, and she's as competitive, as hardworking, as fearless as any man I know. That's one of the greatest compliments she's ever given me, to see these typically male attributes as beauty in her eyes. Girls need strong male figures in their lives, and strong men are not afraid of women." In his book, Hope Dies Last, Stud Terkel said, "We have to take the baton when it's passed and run as hard and fast as we can, and then pass it on to someone else." I hope that's what I'll be remembered for. Thank you very much.
When the number of championships dwarfs the number of years you've coached, you've made more than an impact. You've left a legacy. Ron Mann, who has won 66 conference titles in 33 years on the collegiate level, is that kind of coach. Success as a student athlete came first for Mann. A standout career at Northern Arizona University, where he helped the Lumberjacks to the Big Sky Cross Country title in 1971, and a 9th place finish at the NCAA Championships that same year. After his early coaching days at Mesa Community College and his prep alma mater, Sunny Slope High School in Phoenix, Mann returned to Flagstaff as head coach of NAU's women's program. He took over the reins of the men's team as well in 1982, and what transpired over the next 22 years was legendary. Over that time, Mann's teams dominated the Big Sky Conference, racking up 58 league team titles, 14 of them in men's cross country. On the NCAA level, the Lumberjacks finished in the top 10 16 times, hauling in 107 All-American honors and winning 4 individual national titles. Mann retired from NAU in 2004 to focus on coaching the 2005 U.S. Men's World Championship team, but found his way back into the college ranks soon after, becoming director of the Louisville program. Over the next 9 years, the Cardinals thrived with Mann at the helm. Mann's teams won 8 Big East titles, ran to 47 All-America honors, and 4 individual NCAA crowns. Louisville's women won 5 consecutive conference outdoor titles from 2008 to 2012, a feat only matched by one other program in league history. Mann also spent the latter part of his collegiate career in administrative roles within the Coaches Association, serving as an officer for the D1 track and field coaches for 7 years and was president of the body from 2011 to 2013. Mann retired from college coaching in 2013 and currently trains and guides athletes at the marathon distance, most notably 2012 Boston Marathon champion Wesley Courier. He is Ron Mann, 2018 Coaches Hall of Fame.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. First of all, I don't believe I would be here tonight if it weren't for the grace of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I want to thank Sam Seams, USTFCCCA, and the selection committee for this wonderful award. I want to congratulate the other members of the Hall of Fame this evening. I'm humbled to be a part of this distinguished class of 2018. I have a bunch of people here tonight that I want to introduce. They're very special. The honor is not mine tonight. It's about the people that supported me down the course of time. My family, friends, assistant coaches, and especially the more than 2,000 athletes I've had the privilege of coaching. I want to introduce these special people. My wife, Charlene, my son, Stephen, and his wife, Alexa, my son, Ryan, and his wife, Mandy, my youngest son, Brandon, my grandson, Mitchell, his wife, Lila, my grandson, Preston, my granddaughters, Tegan and Emmy, my high school coach and mentor, Dave Dorr, and his wife are here with us tonight, Marge. One of my early graduate assistants is here, Jason Miller. Dale Kelper and Christine Herring are here from University of Louisville Athletics. Mike Smith, Mike Marlowe, and Dr. Rita Chang are here from Northern Arizona University. My longtime friends, Ralph and Cindy Lindeman and Greg Hall. And my Louisville friends, Tony and Val Manley, as well as Mike and Susan Toadvine. As you can tell, it takes a village to keep me in line. As I reflected about tonight, I realized it wasn't about the records. It was all about relationships. And those that profoundly affected my thinking and my career. I want to briefly go through a couple of them or three. I cannot begin to recount with you my relationships at Northern Arizona University and my time in Flagstaff. I was hired back at my alma mater, NAU, in 2000 as the first women's coach, and to work alongside my mentor and coach, Dr. Leo Haberlack. In 1982, we were able to combine the men's and women's program, and under that combination, it was one of the first to do so in the United States. At that time, after that, I was able to see the program at Northern Arizona and athletes flourish and grow. Then I was able to pass the relay baton on to JW Hardy, Eric Hines, and now Mike Smith. Being able to watch that program flourish and grow and the intimate relationships gives me great joy to this very day. My first hire at Northern Arizona University went like this. In 1982, when we combined the men's and women's program, I got to hire one coach, okay? One coach. I made a phone call to Greg Hall on a Saturday afternoon. I called him and I said, would you consider being my assistant coach? He said, I'd consider it. I woke up on Sunday morning, went out to get my Sunday newspaper. Greg was asleep on my front lawn in a sleeping bag. I took that as a yes. I appreciated Greg's distinctive behavior then, and I still do, his decision-making to this day. In 2006, Wesley Courier, that you saw on the screen, went home for Christmas, back to Kenya. At the time, there was a political coup going on in Kenya. His village was ransacked, and Wesley was nearly killed in the fighting. With the help of the coaching staff at University of Louisville and the administration, we were able to get Wesley out safely. He went on later to win the Boston Marathon, Member of Parliament in Kenya, Olympian, and now runs the Kenyan Kids Foundation, educating young people in his village to get scholarships to come to the United States to this very day. Wesley and I will have a lifetime relationship. It's all about relationships, isn't it? I once was asked to do a clinic in Fort Collins, Colorado. I was presenting there. Ralph Lindemann picked me up at the airport in Denver. We headed up I-25. We got in a philosophical discussion about the trail and hurdling. It got so animated inside of the car that we decided that we had to get out of the car in 15-degree weather and do a quick learn-by-doing clinic on the side of the road. And I valued Ralph Lindemann's opinion then, and I do to this very day. By the way, we were almost late to the clinic, Ralph. It's all about relationships. Someone once asked me, "What events do you coach?" And I said, "I don't coach events. I coach people." In closing, I would like to share my favorite Bible verse and how it relates to this evening. It's Ecclesiastes 3:1, and that is, there's a time for every purpose under heaven. Tonight, I want to take the time to honor those members of this Hall of Fame who mentored me personally and have done so much for this sport. The ones who mentored me personally, and I will mention them briefly: Fred Wilt, Sam Bell, Tom Telez, Joe Vigil, my roommate in Beijing, Ed Jacoby, and so many others from this great organization that took the time to spend with me and personally mentor me. Also, take the time for the present. Enjoy the perfect present of now and the people that make the journey with you. I value the coaching friendships I had and have. My inner circle of friends include Ralph Lindemann, Greg Hall, John McNichols, Vince O'Boyle, Lou Dusing, the coaching staffs of Northern Arizona University, University of Louisville, and also the many administrators, head coaches, assistant coaches, graduate assistants, and athletes that keep in constant contact with me to this very day. Lastly, take time for the future. Become the best you can be. Learn, study, take everything in that you can possibly take in. I recently read a book that I believe applies to this honor tonight and to all of us. It's called 212 Degrees, the extra degree. Extraordinary results begin with one small change. At 211 degrees, water's hot. At 212 degrees, it boils. When water boils, it can create steam. Steam can power a locomotive. It's time to turn up the heat. From this day forward, vow to become the best you can be. Turn up the heat. Be a little bit better than you thought you could be. Our sport and the work that's being done at this convention and what's being done behind the scenes every day is remarkable. We have a wonderful purpose. We are mentors, coaching friends, and leaders to future generations. I will end my remarks this evening with 3 professions get to keep their titles for their entire lifetime. They are Reverend, Doctor, and Coach. I'm proud to be a part of this great profession. May God bless you, and thank you for this honor.
John McNichols left an undeniable legacy on the sports of cross country and track and field. After graduating in 1972 with a bachelor's degree in physical education from Indiana University, McNichols started out as a coach and teacher with the Monroe County School Corporation before transitioning to Bloomington North High School. McNichols turned his attention to the collegiate ranks in 1983 when Indiana State hired him as men's head coach, and he added the women's program to his resume in 1989. The Sycamores thrived under McNichols' direction, his teams capturing 38 Missouri Valley Conference championships in 34 years, 11 of those coming in cross country, 27 in track and field. Those victories led by athletes who won 464 MVC individual crowns. McNichols' athletes also achieved success on the national level with 15 individual NCAA titles. None were more successful than Holly Heitch, who won 7 short sprint national crowns, including indoor-outdoor sweeps in 1993 and 1994. The Sycamores totaled 113 All-America honors, all of which led to 15 top 25 showings at NCAA meets. Behind Heitch's lead, Indiana State tied for 5th at the 93 Indoor Championships, the best finish by a McNichols-led team. One of his finest contributions to the sport was his design of the Laverne Gibson Championship Cross Country course in Terre Haute. The course has hosted the NCAA Division I Championship 12 times now and will once again welcome the best of the best to its grounds in 2019. McNichols coached on 4 U.S. national team staffs and also served in high management positions in domestic and international track and field. He was an official at the 1984 LA Olympics, the 1987 Pan American Games, and the 1988 U.S. Olympic trials before ascending to head marshal for the 1996 Atlanta Summer Games. Sadly, McNichols passed away in 2016 at the age of 66. He is deeply missed in the sports community and by all those he influenced over his many decades of coaching. The late John McNichols, 2018 Coaches Hall of Fame.
Thank you so very much for honoring my husband in this way. We were married for 46 years, and I'd like to take just a moment to recognize my family, if you'll humor me. My son, our son Matt, and his wife Julie, and daughter Rachel, her husband Jamie McDowell, daughter Janie Zabo. Her husband John is at home with 2 little ones in Terre Haute, Indiana, 2 of 10 wonderful grandchildren. And from Indiana State, our Indiana State family, I'll say, we have some really special people, 2 administrators, 1 SID, and 8 coaches with our track program. Angie Lansing, Dennis Dark, Andrew Heil, Jeff and Angie Martin, Kyle Walsh, Darrow Ramsey, Anthony Bertoli, Brandon Bettenhausen, Abby Pierce, and my John's very close friend and coaching buddy, who just accepted the Jimmy Carnes Award this afternoon, John Gartland. 6 of those I've just named are former Sycamore track athletes. And I'd really love to know how many other athletes, coaches in the room have connections with ISU. As I've told other friends, these people all stay the same ages, between 18 and 25. They never get any older. The problem is I can't remember when they were in school, so I think they should all know one another. Doesn't work that way. Our current coaches are doing a wonderful job. They're building on past success and moving our programs forward. John passed away December 21st, 2016 in Orlando, Florida. Just following the close of this convention, he had a massive stroke on December 17th. John McNichols was a student and a teacher of life. Anyone who's had connections with him know that he was always teaching. And of course, he always knew the right answers. So you didn't doubt him. His greatest passion of all was this sport of track and field. He loved every aspect of his work. It didn't matter if it was a public service project, picking up trash along the river, or he worked very hard on our trails initiative and riverscape committees. And he just loved all of it, all the way up to serving on committees for this organization. He awakened happy every morning. He annoyingly whistled and sang, and he boasted that he felt really good. His work was never, ever about money. Good thing, huh? So, he reminded me quite often that I was working to support his coaching habit, and then he would follow this up by telling me that he would do what he was doing even if they didn't pay him. And you know, I would say, God forbid, don't tell anyone this. And at that point, of course, he had this huge, huge grin on his face. The time commitment for him, never a problem. And I'll remind you, your sport of track and field is a minor sport. Really great thing is you count for 6 sports. You know, so you've got men's cross country, women's cross country, men's indoor, women's indoor, men's outdoor, women's outdoor. So, it's easy. If you have reasonable success with your program, you're really going to have a lot of free time. Maybe even 2 or 3 weekends out of the year. At Indiana State University, we have a very high percentage of first-generation students, many of whom have very limited experience away from their homes and their home environment, their towns and their schools. John really wanted these athletes to learn in every fashion and enjoy every trip that they took. So, on their tours with Coach, they endured his stories, his shortcuts, which weren't always so, and they've all compiled their personal memories, which are pretty funny if you have time to listen to them. He treated his athletes as men and women. When he came home, they were his kids, sometimes our kids. And one thing I will remind you, those of you who were on the team, who are now coaching, and some of you coaches in the audience, I know all your stories. I know your faults, and each time you caused him any grief at all. His athletes called him the big guy. I always thought that was kind of humorous. They laughed at his travel stories and made fun of his shortcuts. But they have said he was like a father, and they loved him. Over 33 plus years of coaching at ISU, there were a few who didn't quite complete their tenure on the best terms with my husband. Slowly but surely, most of those student athletes came back. It might have been 10 years later, it might have been 20 years later, it might have been 30 years later. But they called, they wrote, they came in to visit, and typically they were thanking him for everything that they got from their college experience and apologizing for any grief that they may have caused him along the way. And most of those people are really quite successful, doing very well in their lives. We are all very proud of our current facilities, which are the best they've ever been. The Laverne Gibson Cross Country Course, which many of you have visited. The Gibson Outdoor Track. We have a John McNichols indoor training facility now, and a newly opened indoor track, which just hosted on December 8th their first competition scored meet ever. Following John's death, we formed the John McNichols Memorial Fund, and this fund will be giving back to the track and cross-country program specifically for many years to come. John was really relentless. I've heard this word a couple times. Very relentless in his pursuit of bettering athletes, the ISU program, and the track and field community overall. He loved his work with an undying passion that most people never find in a lifetime, and he made things happen. In closing, it is my hope that when you crossed his path, you felt some level of respect for him. Thank you very much.
All it took was one chance. In 1985, Hall of Fame coach Dr. Joe Vigil hired a young upstart by the name of Damon Martin as a graduate assistant for the women's program at Adams State. The rest is now Hall of Fame history. Martin shadowed Vigil and picked up all the traits necessary to build championship programs. He was promoted to head coach of the women's program in 1989 and assumed the same role with the men's team 7 years later. And the school record book just keeps getting thicker. Adams State counts 35 national titles and 96 conference titles in 29 years under Martin's direction, while Grizzlies athletes garnered more than 1,000 combined All-America honors and won more than 100 individual national crowns during that same span. From 1989 to the conclusion of the most recent academic year, there have been just 5 years in which the Grizzlies did not win a national title. 5 of 29. If you're looking for Adams State, you'll find them on the podium. Martin's women's cross-country team won a pair of NAIA national titles in 1989 and 91, and their dominance is unrivaled since moving up to NCAA's Division II, winning 17 crowns, including streaks of 8 in a row in the 90s and 7 in a row in the 2000s. Plus, his men's Harriers have won 6 national titles this decade, the latest coming in 2017. The association's Men's Program of the Year award is named in Martin's honor, and Adams State has won the award bearing their coach's name 9 times since 2008. In addition to all those successes, Martin served as president of the USTFCCCA in 2015 and 2016, and served the association in many other ways in the years before and since. One of a select few coaches to be inducted into the Hall of Fame while still active, he is Damon Martin, 2018 enshrinee into the Coaches Hall of Fame.
Thank you and good evening. First, I would like to thank the USTFCCCA Track and Field Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this great honor. I would also like to thank Sam Seams for his hard work and his dedication in making this association the finest coaches association in the world. Thank you, Sam. I want to say congratulations to Dr. Artis, Karen, Ron, John, and Dan. I feel very fortunate to be included in this class, along with so many other legendary coaches from the past. We coaches that are here tonight define the most pure forms of what is right in the world. We are teaching hard work, values, chasing excellence, overcoming adversity, as well as teaching inclusive diversity with our student athletes. I applaud all of you, and I'm honored to be a part of such an incredible profession of shining light on the most finest qualities of the human spirit. I, too, am proud to be a coach. In our Martin family, we do things a little bit more extreme. We do things like celebrate our birthdays for an entire week. We absolutely love cross-country track and field. In fact, when my daughter was 6 weeks old, we took her to her first national championship in Boston. Since that time, my wife and I have taken our kids to all 50 states and 12 countries, traveling to Diamond League meets, Olympic trials, U.S. championships, and 2 Olympic games. Tonight, I'm glad and happy to share another cherished moment together. I would like to share my support system, starting with my family first, and here with me tonight, my daughter Lauren. She was a 4-time national champ running for me at ASU. She never was all-state. She just hit the Olympic A standard for the marathon in her second marathon. My son-in-law Kyle. My son-in-law Kyle, who just hit the Olympic trial standard as well. My son Tanner has 1 semester left to graduate with honors in business and will be starting graduate school in sport law this next year. Tanner will be marrying his high school soulmate this summer, and he's in looking for a job, so anybody that needs an agent, here you go. As you track coaches know how important it is to get a good start in life, I had the very best. I have a mom, Dimple, who is here with me tonight. She exemplified the most incredible work ethic, patience, passion, and charm, and I'm happy to have you here, Mom. My dad, Earl, he's not here. He passed away in '93, but I'm sure he's looking down, and he's proud of his baby boy tonight. His greatest gift to me was his constant believing in me and allowing me not to settle for anything my absolute best. I love you, Dad. Most importantly, I want to thank my wife, Connie, for her undying love and support of me. Anyone that has a coach in the family knows that it is not easy to live with a coach, especially in the sports of cross-country track and field, who is in season 9 months a year. Three days ago, we celebrated our 34th anniversary, and my wife is our rock and our foundation of our family, and I'm forever grateful to you. Larry and Carolyn Mortensen, my friend and my athletic director. It's not often that you have the kind of support for track and field that I have had, and I am blessed to have had an AD and a friend that believes in our sports and me. Thank you. A quick little note, in 1988, Coach Vigil was the Olympic coach in Seoul, Korea, one of the Olympic coaches, and he came to me and asked me if I would be interested in being their interim coach and taking over the team. I said, sure, I would love to do that. And then he said, "Damn it, Martin, my team is undefeated, we're untied, we have a great team, don't screw it up." I'm glad to say I didn't. The next year, my first year as the women's coach, we won the national title in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and Coach came to me and said, "Damn it, Martin, Don't read your press clippings. Your head's already too big. The next year, he came to me and I said, Coach, hold on. You know my name's not Damon, it's Damon. All kidding aside, my mentor, Dr. Joe V. Hill, and his wife, Carolyn, have shown me what is possible. If you dare to dream, in a small town of 10,000 people and a small school of 1,800 students, he did what many thought was not possible at a small school in southern Colorado. He showed me you don't have to be asleep to dream. And for that, I am forever grateful. I would like to thank my assistant coaches over the years. No head coach can execute anything great by himself or herself. All head coaches know the need for competent, hardworking, diligent help that executes the overall vision of the program. I have had some of the very best in the business. Many of them are here tonight along with the assistant coaches. There are many athletes and supporters of the Adams State family. And just for a second, I would like for them to all stand as I thank them from the bottom of my heart for their contributions. Please stand. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to every student athlete that joined our Adams State family and competed their guts out for the Grizzlies. It is a special commitment that we ask our student athletes to commit to lifestyle and team values. The expectations and the pressures of competing for a program that has won 54 national championships and produced 9 Olympians is sometimes overwhelming. The success we have had has been on their backs and their hard work. Without their efforts, the Adams State story doesn't exist, and I'm very proud to have been your coach. Since coming to the convention, I've not missed a Hall of Fame ceremony, and I've heard and learned much of the wise words of so many great coaches. I would like to share with you 2 things I have learned along the way. Our Adams State team is a family. You'll do stuff for family you just won't do for other people. I think the more that you can bring your charges, your athletes into your family and treat them as such, they will be forever grateful and learn their best. A wise person once told me, if you want to be successful in coaching, you need to spend a great portion of each day talking to your athletes and making them feel wanted, needed, and appreciated. I've never received better advice than in trying to maintain a successful program and enjoying what I do on a daily basis than those 3 things every day. I would like to say the journey that brought me to Adams State University and the state of Colorado has given more to me than I can ever give back. And I am truly thankful for all the people that helped me along the journey. The friendships and colleagues I have made will be cherished for the rest of my life. Thank you again to the USTFCCCA Hall of Fame Committee for this great honor tonight. Thank you.
Let's hear another round of applause for all of our new inductees. What we would like to do is get all of our inductees, if we could, get back up on the stage for some pictures. We greatly appreciate everybody who attended tonight and the support that you have for our Hall of Famers tonight and all of those previous Hall of Famers. I was telling Sam, when I look at the walls, we're going to have to get a bigger room in the future. But congratulations, and thank you all for attending. And if we could just get all of the Hall of Famers back up here this evening, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much.